Hello, everyone, and today we are listening to the Rebel Eaters Club. So this is Virgie's podcast, and it starts out with a teaser, a trailer, and then the first episode, and then I think we're gonna follow it to that in that order. We're gonna go through every audio that the podcast has. There's only 32 episodes total, which is kind of odd considering that this started in on February 24th, 2020, and it's not like it's a once a month thing. It looks like it was supposed to be every week, and then in April or May of 2020, they stopped, which is when the pandemic happened, so that made sense. And then they started back up in January of 2021, and it looks like they made a fair ways through. Oh, wait, it suddenly crossed into 2020. So, and then it stopped in May 2021 again and just picked up again in March. So this doesn't seem to be 2020. I get happening because of the pandemic and stuff. I don't really understand what happened with 2021 from May of 2021 to February of 2022. I don't know why that was, unless I don't know, but I'm hoping that will kind of reveal itself. Let's see what Virgie's talking about here, and we're gonna start with the teaser.
Number 1. Your body is perfect and fine and good right now. Number 2. You deserve to eat what you want. Number 3. There is no such thing as good food and bad food. All food is good food. Number 4. Corn dogs, donuts, cookies, and Nutella are not off limits anymore. And number 5. Diets suck. I'm Virgie Tovar, and this is the manifesto for Rebel Eaters Club. Rebel Eaters Club is a new podcast, but it's also a movement and a vision for a new world order. One in which pizza is not the enemy. One in which patriarchy is no longer living rent-free on your sofa because you kicked him out. And in which we love ourselves in the body we have right now. And you, my friend, are invited. We in the U.S. live in a culture characterized by a $72 billion weight loss industry, an atmosphere that normalizes bigotry toward fat people, and the widespread belief that all our problems will be solved if only we ate less. I'm going to be talking to a group of people who have said goodbye to diets and food restriction. I call them Rebel Eaters. They talk about how our relationship to food can be a source of pleasure, a battlefield, a tool, a metaphor, and a site of healing and repair. I'll be sharing my story as a fat woman of color who hated her body and was terrified of food for almost 20 years. But I ultimately gave the finger to diet culture, and we're going to talk about that too. Diet culture is everywhere, and it's destructive. We're going to be breaking up with diet culture one corn dog at a time. Ready? Subscribe now. Just type in Rebel Eaters Club in your favorite podcast player and hit that subscribe button. Our first episode will be in your feed February 24th. Every day.
So that was the teaser. What you just heard for a moment was the 4-minute trailer. We will watch that too, or listen to that too. The teaser pretty much was about what I expected. Ties to the patriarchy, talking about the diet culture industry, talking about how fat people are oppressed and how eating pretty much whatever you want is the key to happiness. And this over hyperbolic way of also saying that our culture says that all of your problems will be solved if you just lose weight, which I think most people would agree that all of your problems, the more likely concept of all your problems will be solved is if you make enough money. Less so about thinness, more so about where I need some fucking money to survive. But we're gonna go ahead and watch the trailer now. Or listen, I keep saying watch. It's listen to the trailer now. I'll probably interrupt it at some point because I don't want to let it run for a full 4 minutes without any commentary. But I was really curious about the teaser, so that's why we listened to that without stopping. But for this trailer, I might interrupt it at some point.
I wake up. I look out the window at the evergreens in Golden Gate Park, and the fog is almost always sitting on top of them like marshmallows. I think, marshmallows. I take a shower with my favorite cashmere rose body wash. I go to my favorite coffee shop. It's near the ocean, and they have these muffins stuffed with jam. Sometimes a barista gives me a free coffee because last Halloween I was dressed up as Lumpy Space Princess, LSP for short, and I went in for an iced coffee with whipped cream. Now when he gives me free coffee, he says, anything for LSP. Let me tell you.
So far, this does not entice me to listen to your podcast. Like, it sounds very fan fiction-y. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not saying that what she's saying didn't happen or anything, but the way that she speaks reminds me of like beginning fan fiction writers with this over description of the food choices and like the background information that doesn't really lead anywhere. It just comes across kind of fan fiction-y to me, which makes me wonder how much Virgie embellishes her stories. But let's listen some more.
Tell you what I don't do. I don't think about the number of calories in that muffin. I do not tell myself I'm being bad for having whipped cream in my iced coffee. I don't ask people to cut me a smaller piece of cake at parties. I don't think it's excessive to ask for.
Again, with the smaller piece of cake, she is obsessed with the fucking cake. She's obsessed with people asking for smaller pieces of cake. Like, I mean, she's very fixated, because I know for a fact, we'll get to it at some point, but I know for a fact she also references that moment in her book. Like, for whatever reason, I can't wait till we get there, because from what I understand, she goes into a bit more detail in the book. But it's like, clearly that smaller piece of cake incident had a serious effect on her, and I'm like, what was going on surrounding that? What is it about the smaller piece of cake that has you so bent? Like, what is going on?
For extra butter, and I don't think ice cream is sinful. I don't feel like I'm a better person when I eat Brussels sprouts. Spoiler alert, Brussels sprouts do not have that power. If you're one of the millions of people who are struggling to survive in a culture that is obsessed with weight loss, the way I live my life might sound like a revolution.
She really likes to that the way I live sounds like a revolution, and then there's that pause. It's like you can tell she thought she did something there. She was like, I am a warrior. Which is kind of classic Virgie.
I'm Virgie Tovar, and I'm the host of Rebel Eaters Club. Rebel Eaters Club is a movement disguised as a podcast, and I want you to be part of it. All you gotta do is follow these 5 steps to become a Rebel Eater. Step 1, snack with us.
These are really good.
Yay. It just makes you salivate, you know.
You like drop some on the floor and you're like, I'm not above eating floor Oreos.
5-second rule.
Yes.
See, the weird obsession, like you drop some on the floor and you're not above eating floor Oreos. I'm not going to say I've never used the 5-second rule before, because I have, but I don't know. If I was going to say something was worth the 5-second rule, Oreos would probably not be it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Oreos are good, but they're good in the way that really shitty junk food is good, in that it has, like, you can tell. Have you ever had, like, a really fantastic piece of cake or a pastry or something from, like, a really good bakery? Like, there's this French bakery, God, 20, 30 miles from where I live. We only go there for birthdays, but they have the best fucking croissants ever. They have the best almond croissants ever. Now, you have that, and then you have something like Oreos or like Hostess cupcakes or something. They're good in two very, very, very different ways. The croissant is this decadent piece where like you're really tasting the food. Hostess, Oreos, the general snack and junk food, it still tastes good, but in a very different way, in a very processed way, where it is kind of like, so it because it's that hyper palatable food, it does have like this addictive quality to it that it's good, but it's not as good as something like the croissant, but you'll keep eating it. And so I guess my overall, this big tangent is that like if I'm going to use the 5-second rule, I'm going to use it on the croissant, not the Oreos. The Oreos will be there and they'll be around forever. And in general, Oreos are good, but they're not that good. Have like a really fantastic pastry from a bakery or something.
Step 2, take a deep breath, because we're going to be talking about some deep shit.
Diet culture is like someone speaking into a microphone in your head.
I'm sorry, but when someone says that they're going to go into some deep shit, it just feels like one of two things. It feels like either woke culture, or it feels like that really bad fan fiction, the infamous My Immortal, the Harry Potter fan fiction, where it's like you could see that if it wasn't just complete satire, which I know that was a big thing, was that some people thought it was purely satire because it followed every trope of bad fan fiction ever. And then there's some people that think, no, it was genuinely like this 13-year-old girl that just thought she was the shit because she made everyone like super, in her mind, what Gothic was and Satanism and stuff. And so she thought she was being really deep and edgy. And this has kind of that vibe where it's like, we're going to get into some deep shit. We're going to be like really look inside ourselves and stuff. And all they're doing is saying the same rhetoric over and over again. It's like a $1.99 self-help book from Half Price Books or something. Like, anyway, let's move on.
Head all the time because it's the only thing you can think about, because when you're not eating, the only thing your body wants to do is eat.
Step 3, listen to the podcast.
If I can change the way people think about, for instance, Vietnamese food, and maybe the next time they get a banh mi, they think about colonialism, they think about like, oh wow, like the resilience of these people.
Yes, because that's what I want to do when I'm out to dinner with friends or family at a Vietnamese restaurant. You know what this dish reminds me of? Colonialism. That sounds like a fantastic dinner topic. Like, I don't think you have to... This is kind of like the woke culture shit that I'm talking about, where they'll come up with a string of... Here's the thing. There's a big difference when you say you're getting into deep shit. There's stuff where you're actually talking about the issue at hand, and you're actually exploring the different perspectives, and you're exploring what you actually think about it. That could actually be a very interesting conversation. And then there's deep shit, where they're just kind of spitting out a combination of rhetoric, historical facts, and historical perspectives from a very narrow viewpoint, and then presenting it in a way where everyone should just kind of agree and there's no actual conversation happening. That's not deep. That's an echo chamber. Like, it's not a didactic method. It is just it's the equivalent of an internet forum circle jerk. Like,
That's so interesting. To me, that's really important.
You want to know, like Julia Child always says, if the food is beautiful, I know someone's hands have been all over it. And sex is the exact same way, honey.
Again, linking food to sex. I don't like it. It's creepy to me. No thank you. Please don't. Please stop.
Step 4, journal about it. Each episode ends with a prompt that will help you understand your relationship to food and your body. You can write about it, talk about it with other Rebel Eaters, sing a song about it, or just think about it on your next long drive. You can even share your story with me on the Rebel Eaters hotline.
So with that prompt, I might make that a community post thing where everyone has to participate with your best, either sarcastic or like your interpretation of what a Fat Logic person would put. Like, that might be fun.
Once you've done those steps and become a Rebel Eater, you'll unlock the final step. Step 5. Get your merit badge. Go to rebeleatersclub.com and download our members-only starter pack. You'll find one merit badge for each episode. Stick them in your notebook, on your refrigerator, or just pull it up on your phone next time someone asks, "Are you sure you should be eating that?"
Like, fuck accepting yourself. I love myself.
February 24th, we're making a whole new world. Find Rebel Eaters Club on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, I was planning on watching those and then moving on to the first episode. And I was debating whether I was going to cut the episode in half and we were going to cover half an episode at a time, or if we were going to cover a full episode. But given that the 6 minutes that we just walked through with my commentary, and we are past the 15-minute marker, I think we're going to make this its own video. And then next week we'll start the actual podcast. And I would like to aim to get through half of the episode, but it might have to be retooled to only be a third of the episode, depending on how much I fucking talk. But that's part, I mean, if you guys want to just listen to it, you can go to Stitcher and just listen to it, if you want to hear it now. For commentary, I would prefer to keep these videos to no longer than a half hour, only because it makes it very difficult to get it up in a timely manner otherwise. I think we're going to end it here for today, and then next week we will listen to the, hopefully, first half of the first episode. And this will just kind of be an ongoing thing, probably past this summer, too, to try to get through all of Virgie's Rebel Eaters Club podcast, just for the hell of it. But let me know what you think so far. Let me know what you're anticipating for the first episode. I'm very curious to hear. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.